I want to start today by asking you to visualize something with me.
Yeah,
It's a little abstract, but just, stick with me.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Imagine you are sitting in a box, a completely darkened box. You've been there your whole life,
Okay, so this is my entire reality, this
your
box.
entire reality, and inside this box, there's a play going on. There are lights, there are actors, there's drama, romance, war,
Yeah.
comedy, the whole nine yards. You're watching it and you're invested. But lately, you've started to get this sinking feeling.
The feeling that something is wrong with the set.
Exactly. You're watching the actors and they seem distracted. They're reciting their lines, but their eyes are, I don't know, darting around.
Looking past the audience.
Yeah. And the scenery looks a little flimsy, cardboard-y, and you get this terrifying sense that the plot is moving toward a conclusion that isn't in the program.
Oh, wow.
You feel like the walls of the box are about to fall down, and you have no idea what's on the other side.
That is a very vivid and honestly a very anxiety-inducing way to open this. But it fits. It fits perfectly with the stack of documents you've dropped on my desk this week.
It's the only way I could describe the vibe of these sources, the feeling they give you. Usually we look at one topic, AI or ancient history or renewable energy.
Right, something contained.
Exactly. Today feels like we are looking at the source code of reality. And I have to warn you, if you're listening, this isn't a light one. We are talking about the latter days. We're talking about the end of the world, but not in the way Hollywood sells it.
No. Hollywood sells us asteroids, zombies, and alien invasions.
Sure.
Big external threats.
Right, a big bang.
But the sources we have today suggest the end isn't an explosion. It's a disclosure.
A disclosure.
It's not about things blowing up. It's
Yep.
about the lights turning on in that box you described.
Which, ironically, might actually be scarier.
I think it is.
Let's talk about this stack, because it is eclectic, to put it mildly. I mean, look at this. We have a dense, limited edition theological manifesto called 666, The Mark of America.
Very dense and very intense.
Then we have a harrowing historical document called American Holocaust,
Which was a very difficult read.
to say the least. Then there are these files on secret societies and the New World Order.
Classic conspiracy theory stuff, but when you put it next to the others.
It starts to look different. And then we have a transcript of a stand-up comedy routine by Josh Johnson.
Right, the comedian.
And finally, we have this, The Book of Nod,
Yes, the Book of Nod, a title for the ages.
which reads like a vampire role-playing game manual. I'm not kidding. It feels like something from a hobby shop in 1995.
It really does.
So the mission for this deep dive is to figure out how on earth do these things connect? How do you get from a vampire myth to the Federal Reserve?
Yeah.
How do you get from a stand-up comedian to the apocalypse?
It sounds impossible. It sounds like a random collection of documents. But when you read them together, a theme emerges. A language of secrets, or secrets within secrets, as one source puts it.
Secrets within secret.
The premise of this whole thing is that we are living in that darkened box you mentioned. We are the fools in the box watching the play. And the box is built out of secrets, historical secrets, financial secrets, spiritual secrets. And the end is simply the moment the box opens.
Okay, there's a phrase in that 666 text that I really want to hang our hat on today. The ball roller.
The ball roller. It's a strange term, isn't it?
It really is. What is it?
The source describes the ball roller as the confirmation of truth. It's the trigger. The idea is that the world, our society, is a constructed lie. It's a script. And the moment the truth is undeniably confirmed, that starts the momentum.
That rolls the ball.
It rolls the ball. And once that ball is rolling, it crushes the illusion. It can't be stopped.
So we aren't waiting for a nuclear bomb. We are waiting for the truth to come out.
Precisely. We're waiting for a disclosure. And the sources argue that this process, this unveiling, has already started.
Okay, that's a heavy setup, a really heavy setup. And I want to promise you, we are going to unpack this carefully. We're going to be curious, not fearful. But to understand the end, we have to understand the system we're living in right now.
You have to understand the box.
Exactly. And according to our first major source, 666, The Mark of America, that system has a name. The Beast.
The beast. Now, pause for a second. When I say that word, the beast, what comes to your mind?
I mean, Sunday school, right? Revelation. A dragon with 7 heads, 10 horns, rising out of the ocean, maybe a guy in a red suit with a pitchfork. It's monster movie stuff.
Right. And that is exactly what this source wants us to unlearn. It says, forget the monster movie imagery. The text argues that the beast isn't a physical monster, it's a system.
A system.
It's a political, social, and economic design. And here's the claim that just stops you in your tracks. The source explicitly identifies the United States of America as the seed of the beast.
Wow. Okay, that is a massive controversial claim. I mean, for most people, America is the good guy. It's the shining city on a hill. How does the source even begin to justify calling it the beast?
It deconstructs the biblical symbolism. It argues that the beast rises out of the earth.
And what does that mean?
Well, in this context, earth represents the established foundations of history, the blood, the soil, the wealth, the physical world. And the image of the beast, the thing that gives it power, the thing the whole world worships, is identified as the American dream.
Wait, hold on. The American dream is the image of the beast. You're telling me that wanting a house, a car, a good job, and safety for your kids, that's worshiping the beast.
That's the question, isn't it?
That feels like a stretch. That sounds like just living.
And that's the brilliance of the trap, according to the source. It argues that the image is a lifestyle. It's a standard of living that is held up as the ultimate goal of human existence.
A standard we export to the rest of the world.
We export it, we advertise it, we fight wars for it, we worship it, not by bowing down to a golden statue, but by dedicating our entire lives, our time, our energy, our morals, to attaining it, or at least the appearance of it.
Okay, so we worship the lifestyle. I can maybe see that. But why is it the beast? What makes it evil?
Because of how it's sustained. The engine requires fuel. And this brings us to the mark. The mark of the beast, 666.
All right, another pop culture favorite. We're talking microchips, right? Or tattoos, or barcodes on the forehead. That's what everyone expects.
Again, the source says,
Yeah.
no, it says, we're looking for something too sci-fi, too futuristic. It argues that the mark is something much more mundane and much, much more pervasive. The mark is money.
Money, just cash, dollars and cents.
Money. The currency itself, the whole concept of it. The source points out that the number of the beast is described as the number of a man.
The number of a man.
It interprets this as a calculation of human value.
Meaning we put a price tag on people, on their time, their labor.
Exactly. The text breaks this down into what it calls the 99 versus 1 equation. This is fascinating, so let's walk through the math. The source argues that to have one, a wealthy elite, a king, a CEO, a billionaire, you need 99 others to support them.
That's just basic hierarchy, isn't it? Pyramids have existed since. Well, the pyramids.
True. But it's about the mechanism. The source defines profit in a way that gave me chills. It says, profit is the result of subtracting human value from corporate value.
Whoa, let's slow down on that. Subtracting human value. What does that mean practically?
Think about it. How does a company maximize profit? It cuts costs. What are the biggest costs? Labor, people, time, health benefits.
Human beings.
Human beings. To make the one at the top richer, you have to squeeze the 99 at the bottom. You have to devalue their time, devalue their health, devalue their lives. The mark isn't a chip in your hand. It's the participation in this system where human beings are just fuel for the economy.
So when the Bible says, no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, it's not predicting a future where you need a chip to enter a grocery store.
It's describing now.
It's describing the present.
Precisely. Try to buy food without money. Try to get housing, water, anything without participating in the economy. You can't. You are excluded. If you don't have the mark money, you don't eat. You become a non-person.
And the right hand mentioned in the prophecy, what is that?
It's the hand of action,
Okay.
of work, of commerce. It's what you do to earn the money.
And the forehead.
The forehead is the mind, the belief in the system, the acceptance that this is the only way, that your value is your net worth.
That makes the dragon concept much more grounded, too. I mean, the source talks about the dragon giving power to the beast.
It does.
If the beast is the economic system, what is the dragon? Is it some sort of demonic entity?
The source argues it's much closer to home. The dragon is human desire. It's us. It's our greed, our envy, our ambition.
It's the thing inside us that wants the American dream.
Yes. There's a story in the 666 America seat text that perfectly illustrates this. The story of Ugg and Thug.
Yes, I remember this. It felt like a bedtime story for cavemen. But it was actually really profound. Tell us the story of Ugg and Thug.
So imagine the very beginning of human society. You have Ugg. Ugg is walking by a stream, and he sees a rock. But not just any rock. It's a shiny rock. It has gold flakes in it.
A pretty rock. Simple as that.
Right. Ugg picks it up. He likes it. It's aesthetically pleasing. He puts it on a string around his neck. Now, here is the crucial moment. Ugg feels elevated. He feels special.
He has something no one else has.
Exactly. He walks back to the tribe, and he stands a little taller. He has the shiny rock.
Hunter Thug.
Enter Thug. Thug sees Ugg, and Thug sees that Ugg looks happy and important. Now, Thug could just go find his own happiness.
Yeah.
He could find his own cool rock or a nice flower or whatever, but he doesn't.
He feels envy.
He feels envy. He feels less than. So Thug goes to the stream, and he searches frantically until he finds 2 shiny rocks.
And he puts them on his neck.
Exactly. He comes back, and he struts past Ugg. Look at me, I have 2. Now Ugg feels small again. His 1 rock is worthless. So Ugg needs 3 rocks, and Thug needs 4. And suddenly, the value isn't in the rock anymore. The value is in the inequality.
The value is in having more than the other guy.
And that is the dragon, that internal drive to be the one above the 99. The source argues that this corruption, this desire to exploit, to dominate, to win, is what fuels the beast.
So the system, the beast, only works because we want what it offers. We want to be Thug with the 2 rocks.
It's a symbiotic relationship. The system couldn't exist if we didn't have that desire inside of us. It feeds on it.
It's a feedback loop.
A perfect feedback loop. The source uses the image of the woman riding the beast. It says the woman is the collective masses sitting on this system, drunk on the luxury and the wine that this exploitation provides.
And this brings us back to the seat. The USA isn't just another country in this sphere. It is the throne of this ideology, the global headquarters of Ugg and Thug.
It sits on the sea of humanity and it drains them, which connects us to the strangest document in your stack. Because if you want to understand predation, the few feeding on the many, you eventually end up with vampires.
The Book of Nod. I have to admit, when I saw this in the file, I thought you were pranking me. It reads like a mythological transcript. It talks about Cain, the dark father, being cursed by God. Why is this here? How does this fit with economic theory?
It fits because it is the mythological counterpart to the Ugg and Thug story. It's the spiritual history of exploitation written in the language of myth.
Okay, walk us through it.
The text describes Cain, the first murderer, the first one to choose envy over brotherhood, being cursed. God says, "You shall not farm the earth anymore." He is cut off from natural production, from creating his own value.
So how does he survive?
He is cursed to drink only blood.
Blood, literally.
Well, in the myth, yes. But let's translate it. Think back to our economic definition. What is the value of the 99? It's their life force, their labor, their time, their blood, sweat, and tears.
So blood equals labor, or life energy.
Exactly. In the 666 text, the merchants grow rich by subtracting value from the workers. They're consuming the life of the worker to maintain their own status, their white raiment of luxury.
They are drinking their blood.
Economically, yes. The dark father, Cain, is the archetype of the ultimate exploiter, the one who produces nothing but consumes everything. He lives off the blood of others. The text warns about his children, the kindred, who are forbidden to create others of their kind without a heavy price.
A price of blood. It also mentions secrets and shadows. It warns about advanced beings and sun children who bring fire and writing but will seek to involve you in their journey.
And this connects to our third pile of documents, the secret societies.
Right.
The idea is that there is a lineage, a brotherhood of the dragon that guards this knowledge. They aren't just random thugs. They know how to manipulate the Ugg and Thug dynamic on a global scale.
The Secret Society's document mentions specific groups. The Roshania, the P2 Lodge, the Illuminati.
The Order, as it calls them. The document claims these groups have historically infiltrated everything from the Vatican to the CIA. And what is their goal? The text says it explicitly. To create a class of perfect men and women.
A master race.
A master race, a permanent hierarchy where the one is genetically, intellectually, and spiritually above the 99.
It sounds like eugenics.
It is eugenics. The source mentions the Lebensborn program of the Nazis, the Boys from Brazil scenarios, the idea of genetic manipulation, of child creation and manipulation.
It's all about control. Genealogical control.
Precisely. And remember that spooky line from the Book of Nod? It talks about unclean things boiling up from the ground.
I remember that line, unclean things boiling up. It sounded like a zombie movie.
But if you overlay the 666 text, the bottomless pit isn't a literal hole in the ground. It's the human-eyed. It's our unchecked desire.
It's the dragon.
It's the dragon. The unclean things are the technologies and systems we create to satisfy our greed. Genetic engineering, biological weapons, financial instruments of mass destruction. The beast rises out of that pit.
So the veil lifting, it isn't just about seeing monsters with fangs. It's about seeing the farmers. It's about realizing that for thousands of years, there's been a management class, the sun children, the elites, who have been farming the rest of us for profit and power.
Farming us for blood, or dollars, In this framework, they are the same thing.
God, that is bleak.
It is, but it's still abstract. We're talking about vampires and shiny rocks. If you really want to understand why the source calls the USA the seed of the beast, you have to look at the history. You have to look at the foundation.
This is the American Holocaust source. And I'm going to be honest with you, this was the hardest thing I've read in a long time. We talk about the American dream being this shiny, beautiful thing, but this document, it rips the floorboards up and shows you the bodies underneath.
It is a brutal reality check. The 666 text makes a theological point that God's wrath is often just non-intervention.
What do you mean, non-intervention?
God simply stands back and lets humans drown in the flood of their own filth. He doesn't send the lightning bolt. He just lets our own choices lead to their natural, horrifying conclusion. American Holocaust is the chronicle of that flood.
It starts with the numbers, which are just staggering. I think people have this vague idea that disease killed the natives, but the scale. The source says 25 million people in central Mexico dropped to almost nothing.
An entire civilization gone. It calls it an orgy of blood. But what strikes me is the mindset described, the civilizing lie. We are taught that Europeans brought order to chaos. This source details page after page how they brought chaos to order.
There was one story that I couldn't get out of my head, the story of Martin Frobisher. He's an explorer, a hero in some of the history books.
Right, Frobisher, a celebrated figure. The source describes him landing in the Americas. He encounters the natives, and what does he do? He decides he needs a specimen.
A specimen, not a person.
A token to take back to Queen Elizabeth. Like a souvenir.
Like a shiny rock.
Exactly like a shiny rock. He kidnaps a native man. In the struggle, the man breaks his ribs. He is in agony. They drag him onto the ship. Now, here's the contrast in worldviews. The English doctor on board wants to bleed him. Because in European civilization at the time, bleeding was the cure for everything.
Which is incredibly ironic given our vampire discussion.
Extremely ironic. The native man is terrified. He's modest, he's in pain, and these so-called civilized men are trying to cut him. The source notes the absolute lack of empathy. Frobisher wasn't worried about the man's pain. He was worried that his prize might die before he could show it off in London.
And the man did die.
He died. And Frobisher's reaction, just go out and grab another one. That is the beast mindset. A human being, a living soul with a family, a history, a life, is reduced to a curio, a unit of value to be displayed for status.
And it didn't stop in the 1500s. The source moves forward in time to Wounded Knee, the massacre. This is the late 19th century.
This is where the commerce aspect, the mark of the beast, really shines through in a sickening way. We know about the massacre. Hundreds of Lakota men, women, and children gunned down by the 7th Cavalry in the snow. But the source describes what happened after.
The souvenir hunters.
The bodies were frozen in these grotesque shapes. And the source describes white settlers and soldiers descending on the field, not to mourn, not to bury, but to strip the bodies.
They were taking the ghost dance shirts.
They were taking the shirts, the moccasins, the beads right off the corpses to sell them. There is a specific mention of a photograph, a man modeling a woman's beaded dress that he just stripped off a dead body. And then there's General Leonard Colby.
The baby.
General Colby found a living baby girl, still alive, under the pile of bodies. He didn't save her to raise her as a daughter initially. He took her as a curio. He named her Lost Bird. She was a trophy of the genocide.
It makes you physically nauseous.
It should, but we have to look at it. This is the seed of the beast. The American dream, the land, the resources, the westward expansion was built directly on top of this foundation. The image that we worship sits on a graveyard.
So when the 666 source says the woman is drunken with the blood of the saints, it's not a metaphor. It's literal blood. The shining city is a facade hiding a slaughterhouse.
And this brings us to the mechanism of secrets. Because you can't build a society on that kind of horror without hiding it. You have to keep the 99 in the box. You have to make sure they focus on the play, not the foundation it's built on.
Which is why we have the Secret Societies document. This talks about how the illusion is maintained.
Right. It's the how-to manual. It talks about the Hegelian dialectic, thesis versus antithesis equals synthesis.
Okay, break that down for us. It sounds academic.
It's actually very simple. The source argues that the order manages conflict. They don't want peace. They want controlled chaos. So they create or inflame a conflict. For example, democracy versus communism. That was the story of the 20th century, right?
Right, the Cold War. Good guys versus bad guys.
The source argues that this was engineered. The goal wasn't for one side to win. The goal was to smash them together to create a synthesis. And what is the synthesis? The source calls it totalitarian socialism.
Totalitarian socialism. That sounds like a contradiction.
It's the worst of both worlds. You have the state owning and controlling everything, like in socialism, but the state is run by a tiny, unaccountable corporate elite, like in totalitarianism. It's the New World Order, a system where the 99 own nothing and are happy, and the one owns everything.
And there's a weird spiritual component in there, too. The source mentions a Maitreya.
Yes. This is where it gets into Project Blue Beam territory. The source claims there are plans to stage miracles to deceive the world.
Stage miracles? Like what?
It talks about a project to ignite Jupiter, to create a second sun in our sky, naming it Lucifer, the light bringer.
Okay, hold on. Igniting Jupiter. That sounds like we've jumped from history to bad sci-fi again. How would they even do that?
It sounds impossible, but look at the intent. Whether they can actually turn Jupiter into a star is almost irrelevant. The point is that they believe the public is so gullible, so stuck in the box, that they can be manipulated by spectacle.
A grand illusion?
A grand illusion. The source warns of a Maitreya, a false messiah, who will come on the scene during this chaos and unite all religions under his banner.
It's about deception. It's about creating a show so big that nobody questions the reality of the box anymore.
Exactly. And speaking of shows, this is the perfect moment to bring in our comedian, Josh Johnson.
Right. Yeah. Talk about a tonal shift. We've gone from Wounded Knee and Igniting Planets to a comedy club. But I get why you included it. It's about the theater of distraction.
Johnson's routine is funny, but it's actually a profound commentary on our psychological state. He tells this story about a guy robbing a store with a fake gun.
I remember this bit. The robber runs in, he's screaming, he's acting crazy, he's putting on the beast performance, he's trying to be terrifying.
But the clerk just looks at him and says, no.
Because he sees the gun is fake. It's a plastic toy.
And that is the perfect metaphor for the image of the beast. The entire system, the debt, the fear of losing your status, the need for the shiny rock, it relies on us believing it have power. It relies on the acting.
If the store clerk, who is us, the masses, realized the gun was fake, if we realize that money is just an agreed-upon illusion and that our value isn't determined by the one, the robbery stops.
The beast has no power without the dragon, our belief. If we stop believing, the whole thing falls apart.
Johnson also had that bit about the Epstein vials. That part was dark.
That was the darkest laughs in the transcript. He jokes about a couple on a kiss cam handling a situation badly. And he says the only way they could have handled that thing worse was if they had held up signs that said there are no Epstein vials.
It's a throwaway joke. The audience laughs. But think about what he's saying. He's referencing an international child sex trafficking ring involving the highest levels of power, the filthiness of fornication and child sacrifice mentioned in the ancient texts.
And we laugh.
We laugh.
That is the wine of fornication that the source talks about. We are so drunk on entertainment, so sedated by the spectacle, that even the revelation of monstrous crimes, the ultimate abomination, becomes just content. It becomes a meme, a punchline.
We know the books are opening. We know about the files, the lists. But we don't storm the castle. We just scroll to the next video.
Because we are the fools in the box.
Yeah.
We are afraid of the dark outside. Or maybe we're just too comfortable. But the sources suggest that we don't have a choice much longer. The ball roller is moving.
So let's talk about the end, the final act, the seventh trumpet. The 666 America Seat text asks, what is the seventh trumpet? And the answer isn't a sound.
No, it's information. The source explicitly links trumpets to heralding new information. It says that when the seventh trumpet sounds, the mystery of God is finished, meaning the secret is out, the box opens.
And we have to address the elephant in the room. The source makes a linguistic connection. It mentions a voice like a trumpet, and it connects this to the name Trump.
We have to be very precise here. The source isn't writing a campaign ad for or against anyone. It is looking at etymology. A trump or trumpet is a herald. It's an amplifier.
It's a signal.
It's a signal. The text suggests that in the latter days, there will be figures or events that act as these heralds, these trumpets, that signal new information.
The source mentions the last trump.
It does. And we see in the news, and this is just observing the stage, a figure by that name surrounded by constant disclosure, leaks, legal battles, talk of Operation Judicial Shield.
A plan to put a leader beyond the reach of the judicial system.
Right. The source hints that this friction, this noise, is part of the great unveiling. It's shaking the flimsy set pieces.
So it's not about whether this figure is good or bad in the context of the text. It's about the fact that he is a catalyst, a ball roller.
Exactly. The source talks about executive supremacy and the insolence of the fourth beast. It paints a picture of a system straining under its own secrets and contradictions.
Yeah.
The trumpet blows and the walls of Jericho start to crack.
And when those walls crack, the truth comes out. And the source describes this truth as a two-edged sword.
This is one of the most powerful concepts in the whole stack. The truth cuts both ways. For the meek, the 99, it's salvation. It's freedom from the box.
But for the proud, for the wise ones at the top.
It's a lake of fire.
Okay, the lake of fire. We often hear about this in religious texts. We picture Dante's Inferno, burning skin, torment.
But this source redefines it completely. And it's so much more psychologically terrifying.
How so?
It says the lake of fire is shame.
Shame.
Burning, all-consuming shame. Think about it. If the books are opened, meaning the Epstein files, the secret histories, the American Holocaust records, the financial manipulations, if all of that is laid bare for everyone to see, what happens to the wise ones?
What happens to the guy who spent his life accumulating shiny rocks by stepping on everyone else?
He is exposed. Everyone sees him for what he is. The fake gun is revealed. His sorceries, his PR, his marketing, his civilized mask, his philanthropy are all stripped away.
Yeah, he burns.
He burns with the realization that he is naked, and everyone is pointing and laughing. Or worse, just looking with pity. The source says they will be cast alive into the lake of fire, meaning they have to live through the exposure. They have to walk down the street knowing that everyone knows.
That is almost more terrifying than literal fire. Physical pain ends. Social and spiritual shame, that lasts.
And that is the great unveiling. The word apocalypse literally means uncovering. It's not the end of the world, it's the end of the lies.
So, if the ball roller is moving, if the lights are about to come on, what do? I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I have a mortgage, I have a job, I have the mark of the beast in my wallet. How do I survive the unveiling?
The sources are actually very practical about this. They don't just leave you with the horror. They give us a defensive protocol.
A protocol for survival. The 666 America Seat text breaks it down. Mental, spiritual, physical. Let's start with the mental.
Mentally, it talks about the seal of God in their forehead. Again, not a tattoo or a chip.
So what is it?
The text defines the seal as thinking and perceiving the truth properly.
It's critical thinking. It's seeing the fake gun for what it is.
It's media literacy. It's emotional regulation. It's disciplining your mind so you aren't carried away by every wind of doctrine. When the Maitreya shows up with a hologram of a new god, or when the news tells you to hate your neighbor, or when Thug tells you that you need 3 rocks to be happy, you see the script. You're no longer one of the fools.
You rule over your own mind. That is the seal.
Exactly. That's the mental armor.
And the spiritual protocol. This brings us to the royal law.
The royal law. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
It sounds so simple, almost cliche. It's the golden rule. We learn that in kindergarten.
We learn it, but we don't practice it. Not really. The source argues it is the only weapon that slays the dragon inside of us. Think about the 99 versus 1 equation. That equation only exists because we are competing. We are trying to extract value from others.
If I treat you as I want to be treated, I can't exploit you. I can't drink your blood, economically or otherwise.
Precisely. If you live by the royal law, you step out of the beast system. You stop feeding the dragon. The source claims this is the white raiment, the clothing of righteousness. It's not about which building you go to on a Sunday. It's about how you treat the person standing right in front of you.
And finally, the physical protocol. This seems like the hardest part. The source says, flee Babylon, come out of her.
This is the toughest one. The source advises disconnecting from the monetary value system where possible. Stop worshiping the image of status and stuff.
But let's be real. Can we actually do that? I can't just stop paying my bills. I'll go to jail. Or my family will starve.
It's a valid question, and the source doesn't suggest it's easy. He gives a specific example of a figure it names Christopher.
Right. The man who claims to be taught by John, as in the Apostle John.
Whether you believe the mystical claim or not, look at the lifestyle described. It's a template. He lives as the least among us. He rejects royalties from his books. He funnels everything into a foundation to eliminate poverty. He owns nothing.
He steps out of the game completely.
He refuses to play. He refuses to accumulate shiny rocks. The source presents him as the prototype of someone who has overcome the beast. He is in the world, but not of it.
So maybe we can't all be Christopher tomorrow. That's not a realistic jump for most people. But we can start to detach. We can stop worshiping the image.
We can realize that the American dream came at a nightmare cost, and we can decide not to pay that price anymore in our own lives. We can build an ark,
The Ark isn't a boat to escape a flood of water?
No. It's a state of mind. It's a community built on the royal law to escape the flood of filth.
Wow.
Precisely. And the source implies that when the system crashes, when the great city of Babylon falls, the people who depend on it for their self-worth, for their identity, will be devastated. They will burn in the lake of fire. But the people who have already come out, who value people over things, they will be fine.
They will be standing on the solid ground of the truth.
Yes.
Okay, we have covered a massive amount of ground. Just to recap, we've gone from the U.S. economy being a beastly system of extraction
Fueled by our own desire. The dragon.
to the bloody history of Frobisher and Wounded Knee, the real-world consequences,
To the secret societies guarding the controls and maintaining the illusion.
to the comedy that distracts us while the whole thing burns.
And finally, to the truth that burns it all down. The great unveiling.
It's a comprehensive and terrifying narrative. It tells us that we live in a constructed reality, a box.
On the ball roller, the unstoppable force of truth is knocking down the walls.
We are seeing it happen, aren't we? The trust in institutions is crumbling. The secrets are leaking out everywhere. The seven seals are opening.
It's like we're in that moment in the play where the set falls over, you see the backstage crew eating sandwiches. The illusion is breaking.
And that is a dangerous, chaotic time. But it's also the only path to freedom. As the text says, the truth shall set you free.
But it might hurt first.
It might burn a little.
It might burn a lot.
You know, we started this deep dive asking if you felt like you were in a darkened box. And I think the sources are telling us that someone is about to flip the house lights on.
And when the lights come on, you can't hide the mess. You can't pretend the flimsy set is real anymore.
You really can't.
You know, there's one final thought I have on this lake of fire concept. The shame.
Go on.
We usually think of history as something written by the victors. The one writes the history books. Ugg with his 3 rocks gets to tell the story.
Right.
But the great unveiling suggests a time is coming where history is written by the truth. When the books are opened.
All the books, including the ones that were hidden.
If the lake of fire is the burning shame of having your true nature revealed, it raises a very personal question for everyone listening.
What's that?
If the lights get turned on tomorrow, if every secret you have, every shady business deal, every lie you told, every time you treated a subordinate poorly, every time you chose the shiny rock over a human being, if all of that was broadcast on a screen for the world to see, would you burn?
That is a terrifying question, a deeply personal one.
Are you living a life that will burn when the lights get turned on? Or are you the one holding the flashlight?
Are you the beast? Or are you Christopher?
Exactly. The choice ultimately isn't about politics or economics. It's about who you are in the dark, in the box.
And on that provocative note, I think we'll leave you to mull that over. This has been the deep dive into secrets within secrets. Thanks for listening.
Stay curious.
And keep the flashlight handy. We'll see you next time. Welcome back to the deep dive.